What's up, everybody? So, I was recently interviewed on the Cold Shower podcast by my brother Taylor Kramer. If you get a chance to subscribe and listen to some of his podcasts, make sure you do so. But Taylor interviewed me on some of my pro basketball experiences. And as I was sharing some of those stories, there was one funny story that I forgot to share on the podcast that I've shared quite a few times recently. Everybody seemed to get a quick kick out of it. So I'll share that story real quick. When I was playing basketball in Slovakia, we had some friends from Michigan come to visit, and they had stayed at our apartment, and they were flying out of Vienna the next day. And so I needed to get them to the bus stop so that they could take the bus to the train station to the airport, and fly back to the United States. So you can imagine their flight was in the morning, so this was going to take quite a while. So I think we had to get up at about 3:30 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday night. I had just played a basketball game that evening. We'd spent that evening kind of hanging out, catching up, and then after a few hours of sleep, I walked them kind of through the city to the nearest bus stop. And we lived in kind of some high-rise apartment areas because I lived in the capital city of Bratislava, which was probably close to about 500,000 people, so a fairly good-sized city. And so we were walking through, and I dropped them off at the bus stop, said the goodbyes, all good, and I start to walk back to my apartment complex, kind of through this alleyway where there was kind of a little sidewalk. There's a bunch of the big high-rise apartments, and there was an area where there was kind of this open slab of concrete, and then another big kind of office building going up. And so in this kind of larger alleyway, again, keep in mind it's Saturday night, there were two drunk guys who I could see them, and they were talking to each other. They're speaking another language, obviously. I don't speak Slovak. And all I pick up is a bunch of swear words. And I'm trying to kind of hoping they don't see me because they're clearly really drunk. And as I start to kind of walk by, all of a sudden I hear them starting to yell at me and call me names. And so I just ignore them. I continue to walk, and now they start to get louder. They start to kind of walk towards me, and they continue to call me names. Now, being on a professional basketball team, I didn't speak a lot of Slovak, but I knew some of the common swear words, and I was getting called a lot of those swear words. So it wasn't a friendly conversation that they were trying to have with me. And so finally, I got to respond to these guys, and so I said, "Sprechen kein Slovak," and which was really poor German, and so them hearing me try to speak some German, they responded by saying in their accent, "Ah, you an American, huh?" Which I obviously didn't speak any English to them, but they clearly knew from my poor German accent that I wasn't German either. And so as soon as I said that, they started to come at me, and they started to pick up their pace and kind of start to run towards me. Now there are two of them, there's one of me, and I'm not that good at math, but I didn't like my chances of a street brawl in the alley in a foreign country. And so I said, I'm not going to take these guys out if they're trying to fight me, but there's no way they can catch me. And so I book it. I take off. I'm sprinting through the middle of the night down the alleyway. These guys are sprinting, chasing me, and I was right. They could not catch me. I was too fast. They were too drunk, and they eventually gave up on their pursuit of trying to catch me and do whatever they had planned. I'm sure it wasn't good with the names that they were calling me. And then I went back into my apartment. So that was another one of my odd experiences. But looking back on it, a lot of times those strange, odd experiences are some of the things that really stick with you, and kind of funny memories looking back at them. So that was supposed to be one of the stories to go along with the Cold Shower podcast. And if you liked it, make sure to subscribe to my brother's podcast. And I think the title is called Steve Kramer Pro Hoops Interview, something like that. All right, you guys have a great day. Peace.